out who wasn't able to attend. And yeah, just let's get into the presentation. I think the first thing to obviously point out is John, our CEO, would ordinarily be doing these monthly sessions, and he's unable to make this morning's. So you have the pleasure of myself, who is Andrew Milne, and I'm the COO of Vaboo. I've been with the business a couple of years now, and I will take you through this session on really focusing this time on the importance of customer service and trying to avoid getting into, the price war and the race to the bottom. So, as I said, quite a lot to go through, and I have built out a brief agenda to kind of show the kind of flow of this session. So moving on next, we're going to talk a little bit about just the challenges that a lot of agents are facing, particularly around this issue of service. Obviously, they're moving into the importance of service and things that, can be really kind of considered first and foremost on a quite generic basis to help kind of bring to life some of the kind of general areas that can be really considered when you're looking at how to, really hone in on customer service. And then we'll explore a couple of more specific areas, particularly areas where we have a lot more insight and expertise, which will then culminate in a review of the Vaboo proposition and platform to help you understand how what we have built and what we do can help with this specific area of customer service. And then hopefully at the end look at a little bit on next steps and some questions should anybody have some. So understanding your current challenges. So we've done a lot of work surveying existing and prospective kind of agents such as yourselves. And I've just kind of brought out the kind of top three things from this. And the first one is number one, tenant and landlord related issues, predominantly around a negative experience, contacting because there is a perceived, not genuine, but often a perceived customer service issue. And this is, right at the top of most agents' concerns and challenges right now. Secondly, trying to find new instructions. We know the market is tough right now. We know, despite the fact that there is, excess demand, finding new properties and being able to stand out from the competition in terms of, securing those isn't easy, particularly, when you're really trying to focus on the quality of service that you provide. And lastly, recognizing the challenges around just literally the kind of profitability of the business, driving new revenues. We know the tenant fee ban a few years back had an impact. We know that, a combat related proposition is to increase fees, but clearly there is a trade-off with, how that has been received by landlords. And then this is made harder when there are new entrants coming in who are very much kind of price focused, and undercutting on price is going to always be a problem. So to bring that to life a little bit more, I just wanted to kind of share just a couple of quotes, trying to ensure that what we're talking about kind of resonates with you guys, with the kind of property market at large. And this first one, I think, sums it up very well. I feel like I have to advertise the lowest possible rates to secure any new business. And yeah, we do hear this a lot, the challenge of constantly feeling that, that all you are being asked to do is kind of, reduce fees. And also, I think it's important to try and show, the balance that agents struggle with in terms of trying to maintain that customer service, maintain that strong customer relationship, whilst equally trying to find the pressure of finding new business. Some of this is a resource issue. Some of it is equally, not necessarily having all the tools to try and drive those efficiencies around being able to create effective existing customer engagement, as well as having the tools that can help bring in new business cost effectively. And again, we'll get into a little bit more about that later. And lastly, the constant resource and energy drain of almost being the mediator or the arbiter in so many kind of aspects of the landlord tenant relationship, we know is challenging. So in summary, it was really just to kind of help illustrate that we understand some of the challenges that you guys are facing, and hopefully that resonates. In terms of the issues around value and service, I've just put some fairly generic bullet points on here, and I think the next couple of minutes is really just to try and help illustrate again that this isn't necessarily going to be particularly rocket science in its kind of approach, but just I suppose reinforcing some of the kind of core elements of why and how service is so important. So, competing on value and service really helps build lasting relationships with your client base. It's about enhancing your reputation. It's about creating differentiation. It's really important to try and remove that price sensitivity. And ultimately, it's about improving customer satisfaction whilst equally importantly adapting to your customers' expectations. So just to talk about these individually a little bit more, how can we build lasting client relationships? Now, these are just some ideas that have been brought to us from some research, from what we know some of our other clients do, and holding regular appreciation events is one area in where that relationship build can be really cemented. Offering personalized property consultations and insights into data and property trends, just providing that touch point and engagement is really, really powerful. And then building on the reputational side, engaging in local community programs, helping support local businesses, actively focusing on a commitment to customer service. All of these things are really kind of important in helping increase your kind of commitment to service. And to move on to the next couple of these areas, differentiation in a crowded market. There are solutions such as property concierge or relocation assistance, making sure that you've got market leading tech around how you're communicating with your existing members and indeed your prospects through online portals or digital marketing solutions. And I think the price sensitivity piece is very important, because if it's not addressed, it just then becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, I guess. So implementing transparency, offering flexibility, providing real kind of detailed breakdown of everything around the costs involved are important. And lastly, moving on to customer satisfaction, providing regular kind of health checks, surveying your customers for insights. Now we're going to really kind of hone in on this. So I appreciate what we're talking about at the minute is a little bit more generic, a little bit of scene setting, and adapting to your client expectations as previously mentioned. So really trying to think about how you can leverage technology, from kind of virtual viewings to data on a kind of real-time basis, looking at again social media versus kind of online portals as a way of actually servicing those information requirements or customer service expectations. So in summary, there's a lot of ways in which service and value can be achieved without focusing on price. But what I really want to do now is get into this, excuse me, in a little bit more detail. So understanding what your customers think is really the fundamental key to driving better service. To improve your service, you really first need to understand your service. And so leveraging the power of customer feedback can be so important, because it can really truly transform your business reputation. That in its own will lead on to really strong brand engagement. And the outcome from that is a very, very strong retention tool, as well as an amazing way in actually securing and winning new business. So just to go into how Vaboo really can support a business on this basis, when it comes down to understanding your customer service and getting that real invaluable insight, we can provide you with all of that data around your tenants, your landlords, your properties that really kind of serve a couple of fundamental parts here. It helps effortless monitoring and improvement of your customer service. And I'm going to explain and explore this a lot more in the next couple of minutes. But equally, as well as the actual customer service angle, it can actually also give you a really, really powerful insight into what your tenants and your landlords are actually considering in the future. So this can include, life stage decisions, property purchase and sales intentions. So just to focus a little bit more on the customer service review. So surveying customers as to how they perceive your service, as I mentioned, can be so, so valuable. And it can be delivered in such a way to give you the real kind of benefits from at the very, very kind of top of funnel ends, aggregated data. So working on a customer rating, looking at how your customers are ranking your service or different aspects of your service on an aggregated form gives you a really, really strong way of understanding, where you are, how you're performing, are those scores improving over time, what are the trends, etc. Equally, though, when we get into the more granular side of that data, it helps you identify customer advocates. So who are the people who really do feel that you offer a good service, and how can you engage with them on a deeper level and actually encourage them to even promote you? And this could be through Google reviews or incentivization programs to help, with referrals, etc. And alongside the benefit of the outward promotion, what it's also doing is it's capturing areas of improvement and opportunity. So, a lot of our agents will use this to really get a very close understanding of where there may be some area of the service that actually wasn't as strong as they first thought, or actually needs a little bit of an overhaul, whether that's the moving in process or whether it's the ongoing kind of communication, whatever that may be. This is a really, really key thing that can be extracted from the surveying. And what's really important is while we talk about the power of advocacy, actually being able to address customer service issues on an individual basis is equally as powerful. Helping identify potentially customers who've got problems and fixing them before they become complaints, can do an incredibly large amount of good for your kind of tenant relations or your landlord relations. So how do they work? Now, that might sound a slightly rhetorical question, but the way in which we work with agents such as yourselves is, through regular communication. So making sure that, we are surveying your customers with monthly, bi-monthly surveys, regular touch points, giving your customers access to information feedback loops, and incentivizing them. So how can we ensure that you're getting the maximum amount of information back? And I think possibly we've all experienced, when we are asked to complete a survey, the incentive angle goes a long way to driving incremental participation. So, for example, our offering, which is something that we've done for a number of years, and it has such a powerful impact on the brand reputation and the participation levels, is incentivizing the surveys with to win a month's rent. So not only is that about maximizing the participation, but if the actual winner of that prize draw relates to your own agency, the PR opportunity that we work with you on in terms of the sharing of that on social media and the boost it can give is really strong as well. It's a very simple survey in terms of the kind of customer rating on an aggregated basis. So we use a net promoter score, and that is simply a would you recommend your agency to family friends on a 1 to 10 score. It's a recognized industry standard. It gives you the ability to constantly monitor that and see if the score is changing over time. And in addition to the scoring system, as I mentioned before, there's the ability to actually look at specific questions relating to very specific areas of the service that you may want to understand in more detail. And this then allows access to kind of free form feedback. So at the end of surveys that you've completed in the past, is there anything specific you would like to add? And this is the opportunity that you actually get that absolute kind of, bespoke insight that can be so useful. So what does that actually look like in terms of a kind of tangible? So what we've found through introducing the Vaboo platform to our partners is customer satisfaction has increased by 45% within 12 months. And this is based on using the Net Promoter Score. And that is a very, very powerful improvement in terms of the importance of customer service. Of course, it's elevating your customer service reputation away from that kind of price discussion. And what we feel is this is so important in terms of helping the clients really kind of gain that kind of strength of reputation. Now, what I wanted to do very quickly now is enough kind of really about me. It's just kind of play a couple of testimonials that help bring this to life from a couple of existing clients. They're fairly short and but equally I think they will help reinforce kind of some of what I've been talking about. So this is the first one, which is Sam Whitehead from the Accommodation Bureau.
I think there's always that kind of fear from agents of getting those bad reviews. Internally, we're confident that we're a good agency and offer a good service to tenants. We still never did ask for reviews out of fear of those bad ones. But Vaboo, as part of their service, behind the scenes, they ask tenants, would you recommend the Accommodation Bureau to a family member or friends? They get a rating out of 10. We were logging into our dashboard and seeing consistently 8, 9s and 10s across hundreds of tenants in our portfolio. And then we thought, hang on, we are doing a good job. We need to harness that and get some Google reviews. So we did a campaign here in the office. And so we went from low, like 10 or 12 reviews. Then about 12 months later, we've got over 140 reviews and we've got a 4.9 rating. In the last 6 months, more and more landlords calling us and they say, oh, I've seen you on Google or I've been on your website and seen your reviews. And we just wouldn't have got that beforehand. So yeah, the Google reviews have so benefited us.
So that's the first one, which really shows, how the Accommodation Bureau, overcame that kind of fear factor, but how they've actually harnessed that and taken it into a proactive effort to drive more and more Google reviews and boost that rating. So obviously when you've got prospects looking at how you are rated compared to others, you've got that level of, or you've got that point of differentiation. So that's a very, I think, compelling story from those guys.
There's always that kind of fear.
Sorry, I've just started that again. And then this is the second one. This is Francis Bowling from Moss Properties. And again, a variation on a theme, but I thought it would be worth sharing as it's, I think, a very, very insightful kind of area of how they have seen the benefit.
So we initially started using it for our tenants as an incentive for them to rent a property with us as opposed to any competitor because of the discounts. But the questions that they ask tenants on moving in creates us an NPS score. So this also gives me a good idea of, did we rush any of these move-ins? Is there any room for changing our processes? Is it the same feedback coming up? This is where you go from good to exceptional because you are, making the opportunities. And Vaboo helps us with that because then we'll just pop that into a diary and a call list. Very clever system, to be honest, because we're promoting it as you've got all these exclusive discounts. But obviously, the information and data that we're getting from that is far greater to us than just saying, here's our discount system and our platform exclusively for you. And then you also get another opportunity to re-request feedback. So we're very proactive in the fact that if we've got anything less than a 7, why, we'll take the time to have a call with that client and understand what's going to make it better for you. What did you expect? Because we want to make this experience better for anybody else who's going to be in your situation. And then because they see that we've taken the time out to actually acknowledge their thoughts and feelings, we can then re-request feedback from them. So obviously tenants start singing our praises and word of mouth goes round. But I think Vaboo are constantly evolving as well. They recognise this platform doesn't just need to be for tenants. So we've also started putting on their landlords, which again is good for feedback. So I can see if we need more landlords, where did you see us? What was the source of you coming to us? What did you like about us? So we can emphasise on that more in our market.
So again, you know, Francis has done a little couple of spoiler alerts, which is about the other side of the real benefit of the Vaboo platform, which we're going to come on to around the discount and reward side. But again, you can see exactly how having access to that data has been so important for their business to really get to a very, very kind of strong level of insight and being able to positively react to that. So again, hopefully that helps share a little bit more about how, you know, understanding your service sits at the heart of being able to really deliver good and great service. So just moving on from here into the next slide, we talked about customer insight in relation to your service, and we've actually kind of touched on the importance of actually understanding data to help you gain an insight into your customers' future needs and plans. So one of the other key benefits of the data insight is getting an understanding, for example, and probably most relevantly, you know, if your customers are looking at future house purchase plans. So whether that's landlords who may be looking at buying more property to add to their portfolio, maybe they're thinking of exiting, maybe it's tenants who are looking to actually purchase, getting an insight into that thought process and being able to understand when that's happening is really, really important. And so one of the questions that we would ask is, you know, are you thinking of, you know, buying in the next 0 to 3, 3 to 6, 6 to 12 months? Are you thinking of selling your property, etc.? So this gives you the ability to engage at exactly the right time. It's giving you that insight so that you can actually be there ready for them when they're looking to have that experience, whether that's selling property, whether that's selling their property, whether that's actually cross-selling financial services, mortgage advice, home moving products, whatever that may be. Yeah, a really, really incredibly powerful insight. And again, I haven't put in further testimonials to support this just in the efforts of time, but you know, after the webinar, we can certainly share links to other clients who really talk about how they've used this really effectively to fundamentally grow their bottom line and, you know, make sure that they are able to achieve that kind of business growth through this insight. Taking that whole point around the value of the data, as before with the customer service angle, you know, having access to data around people's thoughts and propensities to do things, we've found that it provides actually you as agents with 40% more revenue generating data, and fundamentally it's giving you that data earlier in instances where it is being gathered than you would have had it otherwise as well. So again, really, really powerful in terms of the value of data and how data can really transform your business from both the customer service angle and from, you know, unlocking new business opportunities. So now I wanted to move on to the other bit that Francis alluded to, and this is how we kind of really help create a point of difference in your service offering. So what the real kind of outward facing proposition is for your customers is really helping drive customer engagement with the provision of a personalized rewards platform. So this is giving your customers access to a fully branded, and when I say fully branded, I mean branded to reflect your brand, your agency, with a portal of discounts across a huge range of household brands, helping with all kinds of aspects of utility to grocery to food and drink, etc. Very, very powerful to help your customers in terms of not just kind of engage with you and show that you care, but fundamentally help with the rising cost of living as well. So what I wanted to do now in the kind of latter part of this presentation is really just kind of help show that a little bit more. And this is the first kind of screenshot of just what the kind of brands are that kind of sit within that platform. So you can see that these are really kind of well-known brands from B&Q, BT. We've got the groceries from Sainsbury's, Tesco, and Morrison's in there. Affordable holidaying with brands such as TUI, day-to-day kind of food and drink brands from Costa to Toby Carvery. And rather than just kind of talk about the brands, if I just kind of click on this link, then hopefully you'll get to see this in exactly in a little bit more detail. So the first thing is to show you here all the savings categories. So this platform has got a huge range of categories, as you can see, everything from broadband TV, mobile, pets, grocery, health and beauty. I think one of the main things is to really look at groceries, because I think this is really where you can get a significant discount on day-to-day critical household expense, right? So within the reward card section, I'm going to show you a little bit more about the core brands here, which, as you said before, has fundamentally the kind of high street supermarkets. You can see here from Waitrose to Tesco to Sainsbury's and Morrison's, Asda, all the kind of core brands. If people on average are using the platform once a week for their weekly shop, you can see that suddenly at a 4-5% discount, and they're spending £200 to £300 a month on their food and groceries, that this is going to quickly mount up to several £100s of savings per year. So it's a very, very powerful platform. And I think to explain it in a little bit more detail in terms of how it actually can not just help the end user, but help yourselves in terms of driving that engagement. Here are kind of some of the core benefits that support it. So full branding through to insights around the data, the perks, the discounts, the content, engagement, success API. I appreciate I'm just reading those off, but if I actually take you to our features page, I think what this will do is actually bring it to life a little bit more. So as we touched on, in terms of the solution that we provide, it carries your branding, your colors, your logo, your tone of voice, the ability to include or exclude offers, the ability for you to apply local or specific partner discounts that you feel may be relevant to your local area, for example. Insights, we incentivize and curate feedback, so you don't have to do that. We've obviously talked a lot about that, and that's a fundamental benefit of the program. The national discounts we've touched on. We've shown you the range of brands and the prize draws that sit within the platform that help drive that engagement. To bring that to kind of life, when we run our email campaigns, we're getting open rates between 40-50%. Our click-through rates are extremely strong, of double digits. So what that means to a kind of engagement standpoint is way above average engagement rates. So being able to demonstrate that engagement to you in this example is really showing that the customers are responding positively. They are seeing the value, and that in itself is translating into that improved customer relationship, driving retention, and ultimately, you get people talking positively about your business. Content, lots of useful tools within the platform as well that can help you actually promote other aspects. That could be things like a relationship you may have with Fixflow, for example. So being able to promote maintenance tools, talked about adding offers from local businesses, and simply promoting other products and services that you may have. Engagement. I've mentioned about the kind of very strong open rates and click rates. So again, industry leading customer marketing that supports it, and ultimately, building up to your success. So hopefully that gives you a really strong understanding of kind of how the platform can help you. And what I then wanted to do was, again, try and make this as tangible as possible in terms of, well, what can that really do in terms of helping me from a more kind of commercial aspects? We've spent a lot of time talking about, how the kind of customer service angle is so important. But if we actually then look at some of the more data insights around understanding people's propensity to purchase, on average, we've recognized through the data that we've collected that there's just under 100 opportunities within each client's portfolio where there's a mortgage potential conversation. So without doing the ROI maths, clearly there's a huge opportunity there for agents to be able to get access to that information quickly, easily, effectively. And in addition, from the data that we've gathered, each agent has probably got around 50 new instruction opportunities as a consequence of being able to, provide this improved service and data. So last couple of slides, because I'm conscious of time for everybody. First off, I fully appreciate we need to kind of explain and explore a little bit around the exclusive pricing that sits in place as part of the proposition. So the first thing to explain is that as a on the market customer, through having worked as ourselves with on the market now for a couple of years, we have agreed what is essentially a 50% off price point for all on the market customers who look at our premium based platform. And it's the premium platform that really has all of the benefits that we've been talking about. So, access to the reward cards, access to the bespoke data, access to the regular and annual reports that we provide. But equally, I wanted to explore the fact that should people want to have a more simplified version, there is a free platform available to you as well, which will give you access to a lot of the online offers. It'll still give you access to the prize draws, as well as being able to get access to the aggregated NPS score data. So I appreciate for anybody who's really engaged with wanting to explore this further, the pricing aspect is important. And obviously what we would really want to look to do is have a bespoke one-on-one conversation or go through another demo of the platform. But if I was to try and give you a kind of ballpoint figure for what this really looks like as a kind of cost, on average, it would probably be somewhere on the premise of agents having portfolios of 300 to 400 clients of about £150 a month. So that's all the price point. That's all we're really talking to be able to access all of those benefits. So I appreciate that, to really explore this in a more meaningful way probably does require, an opportunity to have a follow-up with John. But I wanted to make sure that there was some clarity on exactly, what the service looks like in terms of what's included within our premium proposition versus our free one. And I think actually one other thing that's worth referencing in terms of the actual premium proposition, we've very recently just introduced a postcode exclusivity angle as well. So one of the things that we've spoken a lot about is the fact that this is a program that can really create differentiation. So inevitably, if we were to look to promote this to everybody in your area and everybody took it, the benefits of being able to stand out from the crowd are obviously diminishing. So to preserve that kind of standout factor, to deliver you the benefits, what we are now introducing is that only 2 agents within a specific postcode would be able to kind of come on board. So yeah, that's being really well received at the moment. And if that again is something that you feel is going to really help you, then hopefully, you know, we can have a follow-up conversation. So just by means of the last couple of slides and a bit of a recap, to summarize the benefits of Vaboo, it can genuinely transform your customer service reputation, as hopefully you've seen. It can really create very, very strong, meaningful member engagement and a real genuine point of differentiation. Obviously, the postcode exclusivity aiding to that significantly. But as well as just creating all of the engagement piece, it's fundamentally freeing up so much time that you may already be committing to, you know, dealing with customer complaints, having to be that kind of person in between the kind of landlord and tenant, because as a consequence of having access to discounts, as a consequence of being able to give feedback and feeling listened to and cared for, you know, suddenly the phones don't ring as much. And equally, you know, that gives you the time to focus on your priorities. And that in itself can lead into, as we said before, you know, those priorities being about business growth and creating extra sales opportunities, increasing your customer retention effortlessly. So we're doing that work on your behalf. So if you are wanting to kind of have a follow-up conversation, sign up, the next steps are there is a form which you will get a link to at the end of this webinar in the next kind of hour or so. You would then very, very simply, you know, work with us to develop a very simple communication plan, which would involve, you know, emailing out or combining email with a bit of social media to tell your customers that, you know, you've onboarded this solution to help them gain access to all of these offers, to help them, you know, with their day-to-day spend. And linked to that, we would then obviously, you know, work on a kind of data share through our GDPR processes to essentially have those members who have opted into the solution to then, you know, be communicated out with an activation email to get live. And all of that can take a matter of days, depending on how quick you want to move, but maximum would be a 30-day sign-up process. But the fundamental there is really driven by the readiness you guys are versus ourselves. I mean, aside from, you know, a very strong take up at the minute around the kind of postcode exclusivity piece, we can mobilize this solution for you as quickly really as you need. So I just wanted to finish with another little testimonial from Sam from the Accommodation Bureau, just to kind of hopefully, you know, finalize his thoughts around the proposition itself. So here we
We
go.
want to look after our tenants, because if they're happy, then they're going to have a happy landlord. I've even had some tenants say to our property managers, we've never been treated this nicely by a letting agency before. And then we tell them they're going to have access to a reward platform with discount codes to national and local companies. They seem to love it, and tenants that sign up to it, it's all free of charge. It's part of our service. Then they can enter a monthly competition to win a month's free rent. And we actually had a tenant earlier this year that won their 900 quid rent, and they got it straight from Vaboo. We've grown our lettings portfolio by around 200 properties in the last couple of years. So Vaboo will have played that part in that, and we just can take confidence that we are offering good service to tenants, and they're really great guys there as well. So yeah, I'd definitely recommend them. We want to look out.
So I appreciate that was a bit of a shameless plug at the end. I also appreciate that I am not a salesperson. So again, with John not being able to attend this session, thank you for your time. Thank you for your patience at times. And hopefully I've been able to share with you the kind of real benefits that we believe we could help bring, should you want to really try and explore how to boost your customer service with Vaboo. So thank you again for your time. I will just see if anybody has any questions that they want to put into the Q&A. If so, feel free to send any message now. Okay, so it doesn't look like I've got any messages coming in, which is testament either to the information I've given you already or the fact that I have disengaged you completely. I would really like to thank you all for your time this morning. I hope you enjoyed this month's webinar and hopefully look forward to speaking to you again soon. Thanks very much for your time, everybody.